She told you she's not interested, but she still texts you. She laughs at your jokes. She reacts to your stories. She checks in just enough to keep you warm. So, let me ask you something. Is she confused or is she calculated? Because here's the truth most men are too afraid to face. She is not confused. She is managing access. You think you still have a chance. She thinks she still has control. And as long as you keep responding, hoping, waiting, you're reinforcing the very dynamic that keeps you beneath her. Listen carefully. Rejection with access is not romance, it's leverage. Tonight, I'm going to show you exactly what this dynamic really is, and more importantly, what you must do immediately. Handle this wrong and you won't lose days. You'll lose months, maybe years. This isn't about ego, it's about power, psychology, and emotional positioning. I'm going to break this down step by step so you can see what's really happening beneath the surface and how to flip it without begging, chasing, or explaining yourself. If you value direct, no BS psychological insight, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me. What you're about to learn may permanently change how you handle women. Let's begin with the truth most men resist. She's not confused. Attraction is rarely a maybe. It's usually a yes or a no, and most of the time that decision happens fast. Not after months of texting, not after you prove you're loyal, not after you patiently wait. Fast. When a woman meets a man, her mind categorizes him almost immediately. Romantic potential or emotional utility, desire or comfort, excitement or safety net. If she rejected you clearly, calmly, directly, you were not placed in the romantic column. That doesn't make you inferior, but it does mean you weren't her first choice. Now, here's where you start lying to yourself. Maybe she just needs time. Maybe she's been hurt before. Maybe she's scared of her feelings. No, she didn't need time to decide if she desired you. She needed time to decide how she could use you. That's the part that stings because while you're sitting there thinking you're in a slow burn love story, she's assessing whether you're useful to keep around, useful for attention, useful for validation, useful for emotional reassurance on a lonely night. And the more available you stay, the more you confirm her original classification. You are stable, you are consistent, you are safe, but you are not triggering urgency. Listen carefully to this. Hope is the leash she uses to keep you close. As long as you believe there's still a chance, you won't detach. And as long as you don't detach, she never has to confront losing you. You're not in limbo because she's unsure. You're in limbo because she's comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of desire. Now that you understand she's not confused, we need to answer the real question. If she doesn't want you romantically, why is she still keeping you around? Because attention is currency, and you are spending generously. First, the ego boost. Every time you respond quickly, every time you laugh at her joke, every time you compliment her, support her, check in on her, you are reinforcing her desirability. You become proof that she is wanted. And here's what you must understand. Validation feels good. It releases dopamine. It reassures her that she still has influence, that she can reject a man and he will still stay. That's power. Second, the backup option. She doesn't want you right now, but she doesn't want to lose you either. You are psychological insurance. If the guy she truly wants disappears, if her dating life gets dry, if she feels lonely on a Friday night, she knows you'll answer. You are stability without pressure, access without effort, and third, emotional utility. This is where most men get trapped. You give boyfriend benefits without boyfriend status. You listen to her vent about work. You reassure her when she's insecure. You help her process another man's mixed signals. You become emotional infrastructure, but infrastructure is rarely romanticized. It's relied on. This is what I call attention without commitment. She gets the warmth of your presence without the responsibility of choosing you. And as long as you keep showing up under those conditions, you are training her to see you as permanent background. Listen carefully. If she gets the benefits of your presence without choosing you, she has no reason to upgrade you. Desire requires risk. Commitment requires cost. And right now, you are free. Free validation, free emotional support, free consistency. That's not romantic tension. That's a subscription she doesn't have to pay for. Now, let's talk about you. Because this dynamic doesn't survive on her behavior alone. It survives on your participation. Most men, after being rejected, don't pull back. They lean in. They respond immediately to every text. They stay up late listening to her problems. They over-explain their value. They try to prove they're different. You tell yourself you're being patient, mature, understanding. But what you're actually doing is reinforcing her decision. You're showing her that rejecting you does not cost her anything. She loses nothing. She sacrifices nothing. She still gets access. And here's where it becomes psychological. The moment you slightly pull away, maybe you respond slower. Maybe you get busy. Suddenly she sends, "Hey stranger, missed your energy. What are you up to?" That's not romance. That's a systems check. She's not reaching out because she had a breakthrough realization about your value. She's checking to see if the supply is still there. It's called breadcrumbing. Small doses of attention. Just enough to keep you hopeful. Never enough to move the relationship forward. And every time you jump at those crumbs, you reset the dynamic. You teach her that minimal effort is sufficient. Let me say this in a way that might sting. You are rewarding rejection with loyalty. You are proving that even after she said no, she still owns your availability. So why would she ever reconsider? Why would she ever elevate you if nothing about your accessibility has changed? Desire increases when access feels uncertain. Right now you are certain, predictable, guaranteed. And guaranteed men are rarely chased. They are stored. So how do you shift this? Not with speeches, not with emotional confessions, not with ultimatums. You shift it by cutting off the one thing she's been receiving without earning validation. That means you stop responding instantly. You stop being the emotional support hotline. You stop reacting to every story, every post, every subtle bid for attention. No dramatic announcements. No, I need space monologues, just reduced access. Because here's what happens psychologically when consistent attention disappears. Anxiety, not panic, not obsession, just enough uncertainty to create friction. When someone who was always available suddenly isn't, the brain notices, the pattern breaks. And when patterns break, value is reassessed. Scarcity activates perceived worth. But understand this clearly. This is not about punishing her. This is not silent treatment. This is boundary correction. You are no longer providing boyfriend-level access without boyfriend-level commitment. And the moment you stop over-functioning emotionally, something shifts inside her perception. You go from guaranteed to questionable, from background presence to potential loss. And loss triggers evaluation. Most men are afraid to do this because they think, what if she thinks I don't care? Good. Right now, she's been operating under the assumption that you care regardless of how she treats you. When that certainty disappears, she has to recalibrate. Because the moment you remove easy access, you stop being furniture. You stop being the emotional couch she sits on when she's bored. You become a man with limits. And limits create tension, not cruelty, not hostility. Tension. And tension is where desire either dies or wakes up. But understand this, if you cut off validation, expecting instant results, you're still operating from need. This only works when you're genuinely prepared to lose her, because power is never in the threat, it's in the willingness. Cutting off validation is the first shift. Now comes the harder part. You become scarce. You stop initiating. You stop checking in. You stop orbiting her world like a satellite waiting for sunlight. And instead, you live. Not performatively, not to provoke jealousy, not to manipulate. You simply redirect your energy, work, health, other women, social life, ambition. You move as if she is no longer central. Because here's what most men misunderstand. Indifference is not cold cruelty. It's emotional self-sufficiency. There's no bitterness in it, no silent resentment, no passive-aggressive distance, just calm detachment. And that calm detachment is powerful. When she senses that she is no longer your emotional focus, something subtle happens. The control she once felt begins to slip. She might test you. Why have you been distant? You've changed. Are you mad at me? This is not curiosity. It's calibration. She's trying to measure whether she still has influence over your emotional state. And your response matters. You don't over-explain. You don't defend yourself. You don't confess lingering feelings. You stay grounded. I've just been busy, focused, handling things. Calm, neutral, unbothered, no emotional leakage because unpredictability increases perceived value. When she could predict you, instant replies, constant availability, steady reassurance, she felt secure in your presence. Now she can't. And when she can't predict you, she starts to reconsider you. Control shifts when certainty disappears. This is not about making her chase you through games. It's about removing the guarantee. You are no longer automatic access. You are conditional. And conditional access forces evaluation. If she genuinely valued you, your absence will register. If she only valued what you provided, she will feel inconvenience, not loss. Either way, you gain clarity, and clarity is power. Now we arrive at the moment most men sabotage. You've pulled back. You've stopped over-validating. You've become scarce and emotionally grounded. Now you watch. This is the test, not the test you give her, the test her behavior gives you. There are only two real outcomes. First possibility, she disappears. The texts slow down. The playful nudges stop. The curiosity fades. No escalation, no effort, no attempt to reconnect meaningfully. If that happens, understand what you're seeing. You were never the romantic option. You were the validation source. And when the supply became inconsistent, she redirected elsewhere. That's not rejection. That's clarity. Second possibility. Her effort increases. She texts more intentionally. She initiates. She flirts with stronger energy. She asks, "What changed?" She tries to reestablish emotional connection. Now pay attention here. Words are cheap. Interest is not measured in playful emojis or nostalgic comments. Interest is measured in investment. Does she try to make plans? Does she adjust her schedule? Does she show consistency over time? Because investment reveals intent. And this is where most men ruin everything. They mistake renewed attention for renewed attraction. They get excited. They over-engage. They fall back into old patterns. Don't. You don't chase clarity. You observe behavior. If her actions align with real effort, you proceed cautiously. If her actions are just breadcrumbs with stronger flavor, you stay detached. The goal is not to win her back. The goal is to see the truth without emotion distorting your judgment. Because once you stop reacting impulsively, you stop being controlled. And once you stop being controlled, you start choosing. Now let's talk about the moment most men secretly hope for. She comes back. The random, hey, the late night check in. The playful message that feels just intimate enough to spark adrenaline. This is where discipline matters because if you respond the way you used to, you undo everything. Scenario 1, the casual, hey, you do not reply instantly. You wait, not to punish her, not to create drama, but to communicate that you are not sitting around waiting for digital crumbs. When you do respond, it's short, neutral, clean. Good. Hope you're well. No emojis, no emotional warmth, no attempt to restart the old rhythm. You do not reward low effort re entry. Scenario 2. She escalates the flirtation. I kind of miss talking to you. You've been on my mind. You stay playful but detached. Oh, yeah. What are you going to do about it? Now watch. If she's serious, she'll suggest something real, a plan, a time, a place. If she's not, she'll laugh it off, deflect, or keep it vague. This is where you separate attention from intention. Scenario 3. She confronts you. Why have you been distant? You've changed. This is a control check. She wants to see if your behavior is about her. You do not apologize. You do not confess confusion. You do not say you were hurt. You frame it simply. I've just been focused, had a lot going on, grounded, unemotional, unreactive. Because the moment you explain yourself in detail, you hand her back emotional authority. Understand this principle deeply. She must earn access not through words, not through nostalgia, through consistency over time. Chemistry without consistency is chaos, and chaos benefits the person with less emotional investment. Right now, that used to be her. Now it's you who is steady. A high-value man does not reward re-entry. He evaluates it. He doesn't celebrate that she came back. He watches whether she stays. He doesn't lower standards because attention returned. He raises them. And the man who can calmly evaluate instead of react is the man who controls the frame. Now we reach the part most men don't want to hear. Sometimes she comes back not because she wants you, but because she wants to win. When you pull away, you disrupt her certainty. You interrupt the emotional supply. And for some women, that loss of control is more uncomfortable than losing you. So she reappears. Stronger flirtation, more engaging texts, just enough intensity to pull you back in. But watch closely. Does she make concrete plans? Does she follow through? Does she invest consistently over weeks, not days? Or does she simply increase the flavor of the breadcrumbs? Some women don't return to build something. They return to re-establish influence. They want to confirm that if they reach out, you still respond. That if they dangle possibility, you still lean forward. That if they disappear again, you'll still wait. That's not attraction. That's ego maintenance. And if you allow the cycle to restart, flirtation, ambiguity, distance, repeat, you are volunteering for emotional instability. This is where your standards must become non-negotiable. If the pattern repeats, you leave. No dramatic goodbye speech, no emotional explanation, no attempt to teach her a lesson. You simply withdraw permanently because if she truly wanted you, you wouldn't have to compete with your own absence. Let that sink in. You wouldn't have to create distance just to trigger effort. You wouldn't have to monitor behavior like a detective. Desire that is real does not require strategic disappearance to activate. And here is the final shift. Self-respect must outweigh emotional craving. A man with options does not negotiate for crumbs. He does not beg for clarity. He does not stay where he is tolerated instead of chosen. If she wants access to you, she earns it. If she doesn't, you keep moving. And that's where your power stabilizes. Not in whether she comes back, but in knowing you're prepared if she doesn't. She rejected you, but she kept you close for utility. That's the truth. You weren't the romantic priority. You were the emotional convenience, the steady supply, the guaranteed response. And the moment you understood that and cut access, everything shifted. Because power in dating isn't about dominance, it isn't about games, it isn't about making someone jealous, it's about non neediness. It's about being willing to lose someone who isn't choosing you fully. The second you stop rewarding rejection with loyalty, you regain leverage. You stop being the background option. You become the man who is evaluated, not assumed. And here's the image I want you to hold on to while she's sitting there wondering why you changed, why you're not reacting, why you're not chasing. You're building a life she has to qualify for. You're building standards, momentum, options. Because the goal was never to make her come back. The goal was to stop shrinking yourself just to stay in her orbit. If this hit you hard, good. That means you needed it. Drop a comment below. Have you ever been kept as an option? What did it cost you? Share this with a man who needs to stop accepting breadcrumbs disguised as potential. And subscribe if you're done being chosen last and ready to be chosen deliberately. Remember this: attention is cheap, commitment is rare, and you should never confuse the two.